Through the years of me having phones, I have had these three different phones in particular. I've had an LG phone, I've had a Galaxy S8, and I've had an iPhone XS. With each one of these phones that I've had a corresponding different smartwatch to go with each one. That being the LG G Watch, the Samsung Galaxy Gear Sport, and the Apple Watch Series 4 44mm. When I was still on a budget and in high school. I'd say, in my own personal opinion, this one looks a lot better than the other one. Simply based off of that it's just trying to look like a normal watch, it looked a lot better than the one that was just a square on your wrist. Similar to the digital crown on the Apple Watch, this one had a giant rotating bezel along the outside. This is still kind of when all the watch manufacturers were still trying to figure out what was the best way to go about having such a tiny screen and such a limited functionality. On a normal phone, it's just you make the screen bigger, you can do more, the keyboard gets bigger and all these different things, but on a watch, you have to really focus on the amount of size that you have and play with that in the best way possible. This one had a giant rotating bezel that when you moved it to the left, you could see all your notifications. If you moved it to the right, you could see all your widgets, and swiping down from the top to view all your quick toggles. Pushing the button on the bottom opened up all of your apps. The Galaxy also had a heart rate sensor on the back of it. This doesn't sound like a lot, but this is a feature that your phone normally doesn't have and definitely can't do all the time. This brings me to my last one, the Apple Watch. This one is easily the most functional watch that I have. I'd really hope so because it's also the most expensive and the newest one. This one's the fastest, it's the thinnest. With the digital crown, you don't have to have your fingers covering the small display, so it works out perfectly. It offers everything that the other two had, with the only exception being third-party watch faces. If the other two watches didn't have third-party watch faces, they would essentially be useless. But Apple has some of the best watch faces out of all of them, and I wish that these watch faces were on the other ones so I could use them then. Each watch face that the Apple Watch has is so unique and nice, and so many different functions, that I do not miss the third-party watch faces at all. And I think part of what makes the Apple Watch so successful is that the good watch faces on here makes it so I don't have to scroll through the hundreds of thousands of different watch faces that nobody likes on the other ones. But everything about the design of the watch makes it look nice, or at least noticeable, so everyone knows what kind of watch it is, which, although you may not realize it, is a feature of more popular standard watches. You know, if you see someone with a Rolex or something like that, you know that they have one. It looks fancy. Although when it came out, it didn't look normal. Now everyone knows what you have, and that's always a key thing when wearing any sort of fashionable item. But when it all comes down to it, the reason why I think that most companies don't focus on smartwatches anymore and what makes Apple's so successful is that you need the iPhone to buy the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is the best of all of them, and you can't get it on any of the other phones. So even if the Apple Watch wasn't successful at all, and even just if a select group of people had it, it's still driving more iPhone sales. For a while after having the Galaxy, I still used the G Watch. I didn't have to go buy the Samsung one to use the Samsung phone. I could still use the LG Watch with the Samsung phone, which you cannot do with the Apple one. But if the G Watch sucked, which it did, it would not keep me buying an LG phone, and obviously from what you can see in front of you, it didn't. If anything, it was one of the reasons on why I switched to the Galaxy. I never felt locked down to the LG phone. Now, I'm not saying that being locked down or tied into an ecosystem is a good thing, but if all the things work together, why not? If you have a good product with good accessories, consumers don't have a reason to switch off of your platform. And if you buy an iPhone, you buy the Apple Watch to go with it. If your iPhone breaks, or if you want a new iPhone, you get a new one and your Apple Watch still works. Why switch to the Galaxy if you can't use your Apple Watch? Why switch to the Samsung Watch if it doesn't work well with your phone? I think this is one of the key things that makes the Apple Watch so successful and what keeps Apple making Apple Watches and why no one else is really making them anymore. I know LG made the LG G Watch R or something like that, and I think that was a bit more successful, but it never had the same impact after the Apple Watch came out. And no one ever caught up to how good Apple's ever was. And I know there's plenty of reviewers out there who will use an Android phone and still have an Apple Watch with LTE on them just because it works that much better than the rest of the Android watches. But it basically comes down to, if I have the iPhone, I buy the Apple Watch. It's an accessory to a phone that I have, but my only option is that one. Meanwhile, on the Samsung and the LG side, I can buy a Samsung, an LG, a Motorola, a whatever I feel like, just like I can buy an OtterBox or a Samsung branded case or an LG branded case But compared to a case, obviously watches are way more expensive to research and develop and to manufacture than just a case. This is a case where I think that the market was actually too open on the Android side to let anything succeed. So just as a quick update, I'm still kind of testing the kind of things I want to do. I might do more things like this. I might do some things with games. I'm still just figuring out different things to do. Just make sure that you like, subscribe, all that kind of stupid stuff. And yeah, bye.